If somewhere within the Bible I were to find a passage that said 2 plus 2 equals 5, I wouldn't question what I'm reading in the Bible. I would believe it, accept it as true, and then do my best to work it out and to understand it.
I can't even fathom coming from this little thing that crawled on the ground to apes to being human. It just doesn't, it sounds crazy to me.
When you have generations of people being taught that evolution's fact and therefore Genesis is not true and you have to reinterpret the Bible, why shouldn't we do what we want to do? There's no absolutes, therefore we determine what is right and what is wrong.
To put man down as just an animal, that we're no different than a dog, a horse, an elephant, or a cat or anything else, is totally preposterous. God made us in his image. And so to say that man is an animal and God created man in his own image, so does one come back and say, are you saying God is nothing more than an animal?
What that does, it puts God so remote that we can safely ignore him. He's way back at the Big Bang, and he really hasn't done much since. And here's another issue we need to think about. What's more basic to Christianity than prayer? Prayer is a case where we actually have an opportunity and are invited to do so by our Father to speak to God.
Why bother pursuing a relationship with God if he's closed the door on us and doesn't care about us anymore?
To think that I had no communication with God would be so devastating. I can't even imagine adopting such a view just to make peace with Darwin.
If that's the way the world works, if it is just this mechanical thing that God set spinning in place, then you believe in a God that doesn't intervene in nature, that takes away any possibility of miracles, any possibility of answered prayer, any possibility of the resurrection. And in reality, you take away the possibility of Christianity to be true at all.
I would love to encourage Mr. Darwin and others that feel just like him to try God and see the transformation for themselves.
If I were asked, what is the primary reason I believe evolution is incompatible with biblical Christianity, I could sum it up in one word for you: death. If you want, add pain, suffering, and death. I know a little about this. I lost my first wife to cancer, and now my second wife has cancer, and so do I. Whether we're young or old, death is inevitable. And how do we deal with death? How does evolution deal with death?
From just reading Genesis, you get the idea of a perfect world, no death, no disease. Animals, man, the dinosaurs were all vegetarian. Now the fossil record, it's a record of death, it's a record of animals eating each other, it's a record of disease because there are dinosaur bones with brain tumors. But you can't have dinosaurs with brain tumors and dinosaurs eating each other until after sin.
I was raised and I believe that the Bible is fact, so if something's gonna collide with it, then it's obviously incorrect and false.
I think sometimes our culture has like a overly heavy reliance on like science.
Christianity is more than science and scientific proof.
Have you guys ever been in a situation where you've been articulating your faith and it was met with mockery?
It should never surprise us that we're mocked or hated by the world. I mean, Christ said that this would happen, and it's happening, so.
I have to say, and I'm willing to say, you know, that the first 11 chapters of Genesis are true and correct because it's God's word.
There was one place on this earth that was absolutely perfect, and it was a garden.
The Garden of Eden.
Very good, the Garden of Eden. And the story that we're going to hear about in the Garden of Eden comes from the book of Genesis. In the what?
Bible.
The Bible, very good, in the Bible.